go here. Got YouTube going. Shit. There we go, YouTube. What's up? Okay. Let me read off this list. We'll talk about ecom. So yeah, I did about 160 million views. I looked on my Google Analytics to my ecom brands. I bought a whole bunch of big brands. I bought stuff like Pier 1, which was doing 1.7 billion in revenue when I bought it, doing about 300 million of ecom when I bought it a couple years ago. So I've continued on the brand. Dress Barn, Steinmart. If you're not in the U.S., these are pretty big. If you're in the U.S., you'll know these are big brands. If you're outside the U.S., you might not know them. So I got a little list here of a whole bunch of stuff, questions, 42 questions that people ask me. Yeah, I bought Models. Somebody said I should get dreadlocks because my hair is long. I'm in Vienna, Austria right now. So I'm traveling. One cool thing about ecom, you can travel the world. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't matter where I am. I got 6 phones with me. Laptop. I got one of the Remarkable pads. These are pretty badass. If you don't have one of these Remarkable, these little digital, it's like an iPad but better. So let's talk about what I've learned doing over 100 million a year in ecom. And when I say ecom, I'm not talking about the digital business that I have. I'm talking about doing over $100 million shipping physical products, okay? So I separate that. I have different holding companies. So if you've ever thought of doing traditional ecom, I'm talking, and by the way, for those of you in Web3 crypto, this is super applicable for you. It's all the same game. It's all psychology, basically. This whole game of making money is a psychology game. So somebody asked if I'm in Vienna running from the government. No. I got an office in Serbia. I've got 5 global offices. One's in Serbia. And so if you know anything about geography, which most motherfuckers in America don't, Serbia is right around the corner. So I just drove up from Serbia through Hungary into Vienna. I'm half German, so I like to go back to my German roots. They say that Austria is insane. If you ain't been to Austria just got voted most livable place in the world. I don't know if I quite buy that, but whatever. All right, so here's some of the questions. How do you find winning products? How much money do you need to start an ecom? These are just from my followers. Okay, what sites do you recommend for product research? What stops anyone else from coming in and selling a better e-commerce product? Is there a way to accelerate getting leads? Like I said, I got 42 here, my team printed out. I'm not going to freaking go through all 42, but I'm going to go through these. I'll go through some important ones. So marketing strategies for ecom. So here's the deal, man. Someone thought I was Puerto Rican. Yeah, I am. Believe it or not, a human can be more than one thing. My mom's white and my dad's Spanish, so I'm like 10% Puerto Rican, about 50% German. I just don't look German at all, really. My grandma's side does. They got blonde hair. I got the dark hair. Let's talk about marketing. Here's the thing about ecom. You got to pick the right niche. Okay, especially when you're starting out. Like I go broad. Pier 1, I have 200,000 SKUs. 200,000 SKUs on Pier 1. You can't start out with 200,000 SKUs. You're going to get overwhelmed. Okay, you guys are going to freak out. So let me tell you what I would do if I was starting out in ecom in physical products, okay? So number one, what I would do is pick a niche that I can tell a long story in. Think about why Game of Thrones is beating movies. Like movies used to be the thing that everybody went to. Now the movie industry, AMC, maybe you're like one of those Reddit, trying to short or long AMC, but movie theaters are dying. And I'll tell you the reason. I told you, making money is all psychology, okay? So Elon Musk is the master psychologist. People think he's a badass businessman, but trust me, Elon Musk is a Sigmund Freud, who, by the way, is from this Vienna, Austria, where I am right now. So you have to pick. The reason that Game of Thrones was the most watched thing in history, or Seinfeld, or The Office, is because it tells a long story. It's not a short story. You can't make money in short stories anymore. So people think in ecom like, hey, Ty, I'm going to find a niche, pet supplies. You're going to sell some cool dog collar. or some blanket for dogs, right? And you're like, yo, I'm just going to put one Facebook ad. How can I scale that up? Spending $5,000 a day. I want my ROAS to be 4 or 5 return on ad spend. Those days are long gone, ladies and gentlemen. I was in the Facebook beta program. That's like in '09. You could make money like that in '09. This is 2022. That ain't gonna work anymore. So what works in 2022 is storytelling. So like Kanye West, the Kardashians, Jessica Alba, everybody who's making it, and she has the Honest Company. Kardashians have, Skims, and they have the makeup line. Kanye has Adidas, Yeezys. You got Rihanna's got Fenty. She's telling a perpetual story. So the best niche for you to get into e-com is something that you care about enough to tell a long story, like a year or two. So for example, if you're in pet, you want to get in e-com and selling pet supplies, well, guess what you have to do? I hope you have a fucking pet. Some people are going to be stupid enough to get into the damn pet space and they don't even have a pet. I'm going, you ain't going to make money like that. Those days are long gone, I'm telling you. You used to be able to do it, though. I remember those days. Like, I'm an OG of e-com, man. Like, Jeff Bezos may be the king of e-com, but I'm the king of buying brands and turning them into e-com, okay? Like, I've taken some of the biggest brands in the United States. Like I said, I did 160 million visits to my e-com sites last year just in the United States. So what I learned was, what can I tell a long story about? Like, I own Dress Barn. That's an older woman's clothing line. Does a lot of plus size stuff. And on that site, we're telling a perpetual story of how an older woman can look and feel great in her clothing, how it can fit her, how it can make her feel comfortable. It's not a one-time ad. Your ads burn out. You have to be continually refreshing it. So, by the way, I have women running that brand. I don't try to run Dress Barn. So if you're a dude and you're going to try to run a woman's brand, you better hire a woman to be the face of that brand and to be the brand president. Okay? That's how it has to be. Because like I said, old school, when it wasn't so competitive in e-com, you know what you could do? This is a Serbian protein bar. Anybody read Serbian? I was just in Serbia at one of my offices 2 days ago. So I've seen people get into e-com, pick a niche that they did some research, they read some article, and it said, that's the niche that's going to make you money now. Bullshit. Now you're talking to somebody who knows what they're talking about in e-com. I'm one of the kings of e-com. Not at the Jeff Bezos level, but Jeff Bezos ain't going to do a live stream with you now, is he? So you have to pick in a reverse engineering way. People go, what's the best software that tells me what products are trending? Come on, man. Let's be real here. It will have to be something you could tell a story. You know why I like my personal brand? That's a separate business I have. I don't consider that's kind of e-com, but that's separate. The reason it works is because I tell a continual story of my life, and people who resonate with my story continue to follow me, continue to buy products from me. Some people don't like my story. They're like, who's this guy who has Lamborghinis and, has pretty women on his feed and lives in Beverly Hills and da-da-da. Well, I don't care about them. I just care about the people, my tribe, who's going to follow my story. Elon Musk does this super well. Twitter is a continual Elon Musk story. The story of his adoption of Dogecoin. The story of his, integration of Web3 or he went on Saturday Night Live. He's telling this continual story. He's painting himself as a crusader for human civilization that will keep us from, SpaceX will save us by giving us interplanetary, civilizations, and Tesla will save us from environmental disaster because it's cleaner energy. Like, he just tells a story masterfully and it never stops. You see, and that's why Tesla, SpaceX, the Boring Company, Neuralink, all of these companies, they kind of feed together. So you have to ask yourself, if you want to make money in e-com, What's the thing that you believe in that you can tell a story about ongoing every day? That's how you're going to use your social media, and that's how you're going to grow your e-com brands. Okay. Someone said Ty Lopez is off the deep end. I love TikTok. TikTok is like become the new basement dweller comments. It used to be YouTube was all the basement dwellers. Now it's moved over to TikTok. The basement dwellers, motherfuckers that ain't doing shit. But I actually find it funny. It's like I get free comedy. Yeah, I haven't been on social media. Some people are like, bro, did you fall off social media? Shit, I'm busy. I got 5 different holding companies. I'm a CEO. I've got 400 employees doing 150 million, visits to my e-com stores. Shit, I don't have time to do as much of my social media. That's all right. Hey, you can fall off one thing as long as the thing you fall into is bigger than the shit you fell off. Like, my life was never about how can I be a social media person. To me, social media was an ends to a mean. The means was to live the life that I want to live. Part of that is financial independence, financial freedom. And, I've been able to accomplish that. And that's what you should focus on. But use social media. Don't get high off your own supply. Don't get too into social media. And don't get in. I see people getting into that, dopamine kick. Do I own Pier 1? Yes, I own Pier 1. I own a lot of brands. I've got about 30 million American customers buying stuff from me out of 300 million Americans. It's like 10% of America has bought stuff at my brands. So that's why I say I'm one of the kings that could show you the real game. There's a lot of people teaching e-com, but they ain't kings. They're not king. You can learn from princes. That's okay too. Okay. And then there are emperors. Emperors like Jeff Bezos. I'm not an emperor, but I'm a king. And then there's other people who are princes. There's other people who are dukes. I'm fucking just starting to write. All right, 42 questions that were put to me in this Facebook group I have. By the way, if you want to get in my e-com system, I'm going to do a little commercial here. I'll build you out. My team will build you a site in under 1 week that has best-selling products from my top brands. You basically can partner with Pier 1, Dress Barn. I got 200,000 SKUs I'm selling. So you go to tailopez.com. Let me put a fucking link here. Damn it. I need a link. Well, you just go to tailopez.com and click on the top and get into my e-com system. All right, I'll get my team. Hopefully they're watching. They can put something in here, a link. Advice for a 20-year-old who doesn't have much money. All right, my brother, I've been there. When I was 20, so I was working on a farm with Joel Salatin in the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia, living in a 12 by 20, no heat, no toilet. Joel Salatin cut a hole in the floor and put a bucket under it and said, there's your toilet for the next 3 years, 2 years. So at 20, if you're broke, you don't have much money, I'm just going to tell you, it's all about the rise. And the better the rise, the better the ascension, the better you'll feel about yourself. There's a lot of talk now about self-love and self-esteem. Most of it's BS. The truth of the game is your confidence comes from your competence, and competence is built in the trenches. And most people don't want to go in the trenches anymore. And you see crypto now, crypto is very much people making money within 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and that's okay, but they're going to lose most of their money. That's how the game goes. You have to make money over time to keep your money. I'm going to tell you a hard fact, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to keep your money, you're going to have to make it over time, because money flows not downhill like water. Money flows uphill. It doesn't flow to the lowest common denominator. It flows to that place that is hardest to reach. As Elon Musk says, you get paid in proportion to the difficulty of problems you solve. So if you're 20, advice for a 20-year-old who doesn't have much money, perseverance, working not just hard, which is important, but crazy smart. How do you work smart? You're not looking for shortcuts per se, but you are looking for roadmaps. Okay? Think about now. I remember going to New York City before GPS was a thing, before maps was a thing. Everybody got lost in New York City. If you were a tourist walking around Manhattan, I dare you to try to find your way around. You weren't going to find shit. But I remember when maps first came out on the phone. I forget what year that was. Okay. But I remember going, wow, I'm getting everywhere I need to go faster than all my friends. So if you're 20 years old and you're wanting to make money, you can't make it overnight because money flows uphill, not downhill like water. Then, but you still, if you get a map, you're going to take it 10 years faster than everybody else. Average millionaire, real millionaire, not somebody who bought an NFT and it popped, because it also pops on the way down for a lot of people. But somebody who creates wealth and stays there for a while, that's going to take the average person's 12 to 20 years. There's a good book, The Millionaire Next Door. 12 to 20 years is the road, the ascension to wealth in general. So, but there's people who do it in less, and those are people who have a GPS. So what's a GPS, for example? Read the book, The Everything Store. It's the story of Jeff Bezos. If you read his story, you could cut a few years off your learning curve by learning from his mistakes. Like Elon Musk says, you only learn through mistakes, but there's no rule they have to be your mistakes. Does that make sense? You do have to learn through mistakes and trial and error, but they should be somebody else's whenever possible. Okay? So anyway, if you're 20, it's going to be a grind. Look for things that shave a year off here, 6 months here. A book will do that for you. One simple book can shave 3 to 6 months off. And I see people talking nowadays and saying, oh, you don't need to read anymore. I'm so happy that the world's stupid. I mean, it's no competition then. I love it when there's no competition. Don't worry about the stupidity of other people. Don't worry about people saying you don't need books and you don't need this and you don't need a mentor. Let them be, man. There's a tried and true universal system of how humans ascend, how humans evolve. It's through listening to your elders. It's through sitting around the fire. Our ancestors sat around the fire with their great-great-grandfather or their great-grandfather or their grandfather. And we all come from the savannas of Africa, and our ancestors for 75%, maybe more of maybe 90% of Homo sapiens on Earth. We've been on the savannah in tribes, and you know how we learned? By listening to somebody who had already been attacked by a lion or a leopard, and they told you how to hold the spear. And anybody telling you you don't need that and you're just going to learn it on your own, you're going to be a dead motherfucker. And I'm happy for it. I'm happy that who's my ecom competition? That's what I said. I'm one of the kings now. I'm doing 100 million's an understatement, but I just say 100 million a year. I like to underestimate. For legal purposes, you should always understate what you do. So I'm happy for that people are out there preaching on TikTok and fucking motherfuckers being stupider by the day. And the stupider it is, the more likely it goes viral. There is some good stuff that goes viral. The guys I listen to, they don't go viral. I was just with Tillman Fertitta. That dude's not on social media at all. There's some 19-year-old teaching you how to make money that has 50 million more followers than Tillman Fertitta. Tillman Fertitta is basically the richest man in the world that has no business partners. He owns that whole empire himself. The Houston Rockets. He owns, hotels, casinos, restaurants. He's the richest guy in America that has no business partners. And that guy doesn't go viral. So don't worry about this. You're 20 years old. Keep your head screwed on straight. Stay old school. Even if you're in Web3 and crypto and ecom, which is kind of a new iteration, it's not new. You got the same thing. You got to track your revenue, your gross profit, your contribution margin, your EBITDA, your net income. You have to understand the 12 divisions of business, HR, product development, legal, finance, push marketing, pull marketing, outbound sales, tech, customer support, fulfillment, capital, and M&A. Those are the 12 divisions of business. And it's been that way for 100 years. It's been that way for 500 years. So nothing changes, man. Nothing changes. Same story, like Ecclesiastes says. There's nothing new under the sun. But there's a lot of people that think they discovered something because in the narcissism of the human brain, I've discovered the new thing. You ain't new. There's been people, Vienna, I'm in Vienna, Austria right now. This was the gate between Western civilization and the East. You had the Habsburg Empire, the longest running Western civilization, ran from the 1500s till the end of World War I. November 11th at 11 a.m. 1918, you saw the change in the empire. And what the Habsburg Empire was doing is the same thing Elon Musk is doing, controlling the conversation with mass media, understanding the psychology of the masses, making moves behind the scenes, garnering and conquering resources. Nothing's new. Nothing's new. It seems new, but it ain't new. And like I said, in the narcissism of humanity, we have to imagine that this is a new game for us, you know? Anyway, let me get back to ecom. Don't get me started on this stuff. Realistically, what should my monthly budget for ecom marketing be? Well, if you're starting out and you're broke, your best chance is to go hard on social media. Do live selling. I'm live here on 5 platforms. This is a platform I own that's up and coming. You'll start seeing a lot more from it. It's called Speakeasy. It's a live podcasting where you can get paid to podcast. You can build a following. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Insta, I'm on TikTok, and I'm on Twitter Spaces right here. So your budget to start can be almost free. When you want to build an email list and an SMS list. I send about 900 million emails a month across all my brands, but those are big brands. So you're gonna have to have some budget to ecom email. It won't be that expensive for you to start. So you could start out just like, if you're broke, like when I started, you could start an ecom nice and steady. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. You don't have to go crazy and think you need $10,000 a month. It's fine. Start going live. That's why I said you got to pick an ecom story that is congruent with the product, and the product is congruent with your story. You know, what kind of ecom is good? I'll give you some simple. When I talk ecom right now, I'm talking about physical products primarily. Of course, ecom branches out into digital products. I was one of the first people doing that. Been doing that for over about a decade. You know, I've done 9 figures in that, way over 100 million in digital products. And so that's the type. You have digital, where you're selling nothing physical. That's what Spotify is. You know, that's what a lot of Web3 is. That's what NFTs are. That's what crypto is in a certain sense. And then you have physical with like Amazon. Okay, that's an e-com form. And then you have hybrid models. They call it omni-channel. So that's not so important, you know what I mean, in terms of you selecting. Think about you and reverse engineer out versus thinking of the outer world and reverse engineering in. You know what I mean? Okay. What is the biggest problem e-commerce owners will face? The biggest problem you're going to face in e-com most likely is going to be your own brain freaking out because it takes a while to start. In terms of externalities, there are externalities like competition, like competing with Amazon, okay? Those are externalities that are hard to deal with. I like what Jeff Bezos says. He says, if you take care of your customer, no competitor in the world will be able to take you out. So you have to have that high level of commitment to the customer, and then you're going to be okay. Let me plug this down. Instagram, man. Someone said, you're saying what everyone knows already. Oh, good. If you know it all already, then you don't even need to be here. I like when everybody thinks they know everything. Let the newbies think they know everything. Shit. As the Art of War says, when strong, appear weak. Let other people seem tough. Sometimes people go, Ty, why didn't you ever respond to people who said everything you had was a rental or a fraud? I'm like, dude, I want people thinking I'm dumb. It's great. It's great. Then when I'm out bidding and buying big billion-dollar revenue brands, guess what? Nobody's there. Not one person. I mean, I compete with the big New York private equity people. There ain't no hater from social media following me because they think they know more. It's good. Always do that. That's your weapon in this game of e-com in many ways, is to let other people not realize how well you're doing. I don't even like sometimes telling people how much rev. That's why I don't even say my real numbers. I just say 100 million. So, okay, I don't even know where we are. Oh, marketing agent, an e-com agency is a great business, by the way. If you don't want to do your, in fact, let me just tell you this right here. One of the great businesses you can have is an e-com consulting agency. Oh man, you can make money. In fact, one of my directors of marketing for one of my brands, he came as a student and built his own e-com agency, and then I hired him, and I didn't even know he had been in my programs. It's hilarious. Jay Kulak. He's a guy who works for me now, does big things with me, you know? So it's amazing way to make money in e-com is to take your skill set. There's 2 million Shopify stores in the world. There's, you know, and then there's big commerce. I've got a big brand coming out now, a software brand. That's why I'm in Serbia right now. I mean, Vienna right now. I was in Serbia 2 days ago. So build skill in e-com, and then when you don't have your own brand yet, sell your expertise. Go on Upwork. People will hire you all day long on Upwork, especially if you know what you're doing. You can charge great money. Great money. Man, damn YouTube. My camera's in the wrong way. All right. All right. Let me read more questions. That, by the way, is by far your best chance to make money now in e-com, is as a consultant. By the way, I'm going to put a link. Damn it. I got to find my... I'm using my phone, so I can't ask my team to put a link. Team, if you're watching here, can you stick it in Speakeasy? The link that I can read off? I'm forgetting to sell you all something. By the way, some of you have a real aversion to selling something, which is kind of stupid. You know Google sells stuff, right? People think everything's free. Nothing's free. Think YouTube's free? YouTube servers are burning up this planet. But they also control your eyeballs, control your brain, and resell it to advertisers. Ain't nothing free. You think Spotify's free? I was just in Sweden. My office in Stockholm, Sweden is next to Spotify. It ain't free. It's coming off the backs of content producers, musicians. Ain't nothing free, man. If you understand how the flow of wealth moves economically, it's an energy. Money is a representation of scarce energy. Scarce resources is really the best word if you want to know what money is. Whether it's crypto, fiat, real estate, gold, commodities, it's all the representation of scarcity. And what's the most scarce thing on earth? The most scarce thing on earth is energy, you know? And so at the end of the day, I hope each of you I hope each of you get what this is really about. It's okay to sell, because sell or be sold. You see, all you on TikTok that are sitting there scrolling through the feed, or you know how addicted people are in the modern world to TikTok, the consumption hours? That's the Chinese making money, or Instagram, that's Facebook, that's Silicon Valley making money off your eyeballs. Ain't nothing free. Nothing free. So you might as well, what do they say? Secure the bag. I love how people resonate better with those simple messages. Secure the bag. Okay. If that's where your IQ's at, and you need to kind of break it down to the lower level. Some of you will get what I'm saying, which is you are accumulating scarce resources that are in demand. That's what money is. And to do that, you will have to do some selling. Best books ever. Good book I'm reading now, for those of you who are more advanced, are Lessons from Titans. It's a new business book. It studies some of the great titans of industry. Things like Danaher, firms you haven't thought of, Black & Decker, Danaher, companies that are kind of behind the scenes. Oh, another good book, The Founders. That's the story of Elon Musk and the PayPal Mafia, Ken Howery, Peter Thiel, all these guys. That there's about 12 people that were in that game that started PayPal. Most of them went on to be billionaires now. I'm a friend with one of them. Interesting people, smart people. This is a good new book, Founders. Okay, Ty, if you had to start over again, what e-commerce would you start with? I do it a little differently. Like I buy big e-com brands that are already doing, most of the brands I buy are doing at least 500 million in revenue. Like Modell's was the smallest brand I bought, was doing about 500 million when I bought it. Steinmart was doing 1 billion when I bought it. So I did now, if I was starting over and I couldn't buy brands like I do now, what I would do in e-com, for example, and I'll give you, I would sell, here's just some simple things. If I'm a live streamer, I would start selling some kind of tripod that allows you to live stream. I have 4 phones here plus Twitter Space. That's a great single product. You could stick that up on a e-commerce store and sell it as you're live. You're like, hey, if you like how I'm going live every day with my podcast, I'm going to show you how to do that. I use this simple piece of equipment, go buy it, and I'd stick it on Amazon. You can start on Amazon if you want, you know. I don't love building my brand around Amazon because they don't give you the email list. But anyway, that's if I was starting all over again, that's a simple product. I actually designed a cool tripod holder. You stick it on a regular tripod and it expands out, holds like 6 or 8 phones. We built that. So that's a simple product that's in my life that you can build. If you're in fitness, I'd build, you know, a lot of you social media people, you're in fitness now. Take the bands that people do and make a new iteration. There's a company, a guy who follows me called Penalty Box. He made this little box you put on the ground and you like jump through it to do high intensity interval training. Just something simple like that, you know. Okay. Should you do a niche store? Should you do a one item e-commerce store, or should you build out, you know, like a lot of SKUs? My brands have about, like Pier 1, I have about 200,000 SKUs right now. And when it comes to those of you starting out, I don't know that I would go, like, you don't want to start with 200,000 SKUs, and you don't want to start with one SKU. Okay? That you don't need to do it that way, that extreme. I would probably start around with 100 SKUs. Or less. You know what I'm saying? That's what I would do. Okay. Ty, would you buy the Sacramento Kings? I don't. You know what, man? I travel the world now. I'm not as interested. At one point, I was super interested in, like, one day, one of my goals is to own a sports team. So it's a lot of hassle, man. I know a couple people. One of my mentors owns an NBA team. It's kind of... It's a lot. They're like on calls, Zoom calls all the time. It could be cool. That's not my main thing, you know? Okay. Did I take the jab? People want to know if I got vaccinated. It's funny, man. People are super into that conversation. You know, I'll tell you this. I'm space cadet in that kind. The things that concern most people, I try to be oblivious to. Not because I think I'm better or I look down on anybody, but to me, there's so much more important things in my life, and it's hard to do everything you all need to do in a given day. You're going to struggle to do if you follow the daily routine of the masses. What's the daily routine of the masses? Thinking about other people's problems. It's insane. And then overthinking your own minor problems. I think back on the things that used to stress me out. I'm like, shit, people don't even know what stress is. I remember reading the story of Richard Branson. He owned a company, and he had a $500 million debt come due overnight. A bank said, if you don't give us our $500 million back, then we're going to take back your Virgin businesses. You know, he owns Virgin and all that, Virgin Galactic and music and all that stuff. And the dude didn't even stress out. He stayed cool under pressure. He made like 100 phone calls, and he found another bank that would take over the loan. So, like I said, there's 2 different types. There's 2 different concerns that the masses have in this world. One is big things like, is a recession coming? Is there a global is there some globalist kind of group that's controlling the world? Or did China start the COVID, vaccine, the COVID pandemic? These are problems that you and I can't do much about. So people overthink these kind of things, political things, global pandemic. It's hard to do anything about a global thing. You'll lose control. The brain will, we're not built that way. And then on the flip side, people take their minor stresses and make it huge. One day y'all might know what real business stress, and I'm not saying not all of you, I'm saying I believe that a lot of you have real stress in your life, but I'm telling you a lot of you are sweating the small stuff. Don't sweat the small stuff. If I sweat the small stuff, I have no time. Like I said, I've got 30 million paying customers for my e-com brands. I've got hundreds of millions of dollars deployed in terms of invested. I'm doing way over 100 million in revenue. I got 400 employees. I've got followers that I like to keep up with and educate like this. Like, I just don't have the time. What you need to do is get to a place when you don't have time to worry about what worries your mom and your dad and your friends. If you find yourself with similar worries, you're going to end up with the same life that they have. People say, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. I've heard that saying. I'll tell you another one. Show me what you worry about, and I'll tell you your future. Some of you are worried about strange things. Worry about this. How's your life going to figure out? You going to figure out this game? You going to be financially independent? Are you going to be physically healthy? Health, wealth, love, and happiness. You're going to find friendship, family, romance. You're going to find peace and happiness on this planet. You're going to know how to grow your own food. That's an important skill. You're going to have a group of people that's your tribe. You have friends that would die for you. Do you have that in your life? Do you have multiple sources of income coming in? So if one dries up, you still have more money coming in. Do you have 3 sources of income? Do each of you? Then shit, don't be worrying about what your friends. Show me what you worry about. I'm going to show you your future. And some of you, that future is not looking bright, so you better snap out of it. You better snap out of it. It's funny how people get sucked in. You know, I even saw that, like, when I was doing more social media, people would compare. It's like, who knows more? Ty Lopez, Gary Vee, Grant Cardone, Tony Robbins, Bob. I'm going, what? What? First off, usually people who get to the top are smart. And some people are smarter in certain areas and some people aren't. But people are searching for that cult-like God. I see that in crypto. People are obsessed, like, yo, Ripple, this is the one. Or like, no, I'm a Bitcoin maximalist. Or here's my blue chip, this NFT is the real one. And I'm going, what? What are you? There's a great book on this called Diet Cults, where people are like, I'm vegan. And they hang their whole hat, their whole life is around that identity. And I'm like, stop. You're worried about the wrong things. Life is a balancing act. And to balance a lot of things is a hell of a tough thing. So you got enough to worry about without bullshitting and asking who's the best this or that. People are worried. I mean, people are like into hip hop and music beefs. I'm going, you care about you care about, like, did Pusha T or whatever. Remember when Pusha T and Drake got into this, like, they were like rapping against each other? I'm going, bro, are you 5? Like, I like Drake, I like music, but people were like tweeting about it. Like, no, I think this line was better. I'm going, what kind of sad existence? What brainwashing has brought you to that place where this is a relevant conversation? Are you 4? Like, when I was like 5, my friend Jeremy and I would argue. I was Superman and he was Batman. We had our little shirts and we'd argue over that shit. Well, guess what? A lot of people don't grow up. They're like 25 years old arguing about, dude, Drake's good. He got a lot of money. Don't think much about, listen to the music. Don't worry about it. They fell off and you should be thinking about Google Analytics. Do you understand it? Do you understand how to do YouTube ads? Do you understand how to do Google Shopping ads? Do you understand how to copyright? Do you understand email subject lines? Do you understand what statistical significance can help you in understanding your split test? Do you understand how to hire people, cognitive tests? Do you understand the laws? Do you know how to set up the difference? Do you know the legal differences between a C Corp and S Corp, sole proprietorship? Do you know more complex things like a 363 sale in America, which is what I do? You ever heard of that? No, because you're fucking scrolling through TikTok like a just making the Chinese rich or making Mark Zuckerberg rich. Stop. Fucking people are like, oh, did you see this video about you, Ty? I'm like, no, I don't care. People are like, Ty, somebody said you don't know what a cap rate, you don't know anything about real estate. Good. Meanwhile, I bought 1,300 acres while those videos are running. Let that shit go. Good. Good. Stick anybody in a room. I'll smack people around. You want to talk about business? People think they know way more than me. You really? You think so? With multiple transactions from 5 angles? No. No, fuck that. I just don't have time to defend myself because I'm out making money. Shit, all of you start making money in ecom, you ain't gonna have time. So you're gonna have to pick. Defend yourself, which sometimes you'll find the time to do, or just go out and smack people around with results. Smack people around with results. Shit, it's easy. Do that all day. Like I said, if somebody's like, oh, you don't know about real estate, I'm like, bro, I'm buying up American farmland in mass. I've got more farm. I got about 300 more acres under contract. I'm buying up, I've got a West Texas land company buying up West Texas, buying up the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia. I'm buying in Sweden. All right. Is there a way to accelerate? I already did that. What size do you recommend for product research in e-com? I mean, social media is good. You could see Shein, Fashion Nova, sites like that. Like Fashion Nova is a great site if you want to learn. That the guy who owns Fashion Nova is I don't know him personally. He's a friend of a friend. He's a smart dude. You look at how they run promotions, how they use edgy kind of, they use pretty edgy, sexy, eye-catching stuff. There's a lesson in and of itself right there. Pushing the envelope. The Kardashians push the envelope. Now in a world, it's hard to get attention anymore. So you have to push the envelope. Somebody said Ty must be broke. Look at his hair. Let me tell you about my hair for a second. So guys, let me teach you a lesson about e-commerce and knowing your target market. Okay, I'm a straight male. I've split test. Women like my hair long in general more than they like it short. But men like my hair short more than they like it long. So what do you think I'm gonna do with my hair? I ain't optimizing in fact, what you need to do in life is ask people you don't care about what you should do, and whatever they say, do the opposite. This leads you, this is the way to reverse engineer into life. In general, women like longer hair, unless your hair is all fucked up. If you're like bald here, then you probably don't want long hair. But I got Spanish genes, so my family got a lot of hair. Focus on your target market, damn it. The dude that wrote that is like Harold Johnson. I'm like, Harold, your opinion on my physical aesthetics, I use you as a reverse indicator as to what I should do. So keep typing. Keep typing. Okay. Long-term benefits of being in e-commerce. I hope each of you get in e-commerce. It's a skill that will eventually be ubiquitous, meaning it's something you have to do and it will be hard to make money in, okay? So you better get in early, and it ain't that early anymore. 1994 is where Jeff Bezos started with Amazon. That's the beginning of the game. And now you're 28 years later. And so in 2030, it's going to be hard to get in, but you'll have to get in. That's what sucks. There are certain things, eventually, if you study economics, the way things work, in the long run, there's no profit because new entrants come into the game and they push away your profit by cutting their margins. So it's a race to the bottom. If you don't know what margins are, good. Be less time on TikTok and understand what margins are, okay? You have in e-com, you have gross margin and you have fulfilled gross margins. Fulfilled gross margins are after you ship the product. Little practical tip for you. But in general, okay, when I'm going out and, by the way, let me switch topics to that because this is an important thing. Let's talk about some financial terms you should know instead of knowing so much stuff about modern pop culture. Okay? You should know more about the past than the present. Really, people so focused on the future and stuff. Study history. Like I'm here in Vienna, I was at the grave of Sigmund Freud. Study Sigmund Freud. People think Sigmund Freud's dumb. I'm like, if you think Sigmund Freud's dumb because you read a book about Sigmund Freud, go read Civilization's Discontents, chapter 2. Maybe the greatest, most intelligent thing written in 3 pages of any human. I challenge you. Now, if you're religious, I won't say this is better than the Bible or better than what Muhammad said. But in terms of what secular people said, Civilization is Discontents, chapter 2. Name a more cogent, intelligent set of 3 pages on what makes human happy and what makes us unhappy and the purpose of life. Nothing. So I was just going to say, no less about the modern day. You know, there's a lot of stuff in the news now. You've got the abortion ban in the United States. You've got, obviously, I saw an article where they're saying fertility rates are going down around the world, and some people say it's because of the vaccine that everybody took. You've got inflation. You've got potential stagflation, which is where you have a period of stagnation combined with inflation like the 1970s, which is probably what I predict, although I'm not sure it's going to be as bad as people think. If you know what you're doing, for example, in e-commerce, you'll be fine in any economic environment. People are too obsessed. By the time a journalist is writing about it on your little news app, it's not relevant anymore. I see people writing about stuff. I'm like, they're writing about the crypto crash. Crypto's already coming back up, damn it. By the time they write their 2-week article, the change has come. Okay. Should you white label your own e-commerce products or create your own? This is 42 questions from people who are in I got a free Facebook group. By the way, if you want to get in my e-com programs, tailopez.com, you should get in there. We'll build you a store and populate it with badass products. But anyway, I'm not here to sell that much, but I always sell a little bit. Why? Because my time's valuable, damn it. Why else? You should do the same. Don't let people take all your time for free. Unless they're poor and desperate, then you should help out people with no thought of yourself. But all y'all motherfuckers have an iPhone and shit. You ain't that poor. All right. What was the question again? I forgot it. Should you white label your own e-commerce product or create your own? A lot of people used to do drop ship. They were doing kind of out of China, you know, they were doing drip ship, and that's not working as well anymore because a lot of people are doing it. Now people are doing near shoring, which is stuff that's already in e-com. If you can come up with your own product, that's amazing. Like I said, there's a guy who started this company. It's called Penalty Box. It's just a little thing you carry with you when you travel to do fitness. And you just put a little box on the ground and you like do all these step exercises. It's kind of like boxing meets high intensity stuff. That's a product he created. It's not very expensive. So if you're a creative person, that's a beautiful way to get into e-com. It's a beautiful way to get into e-com. Because that product has a moat around it. You can trademark it. You can patent it. You know, you can actually take something and create a legal protection around it. Now, I don't know how all of you, or how creative all of you are. You know what I'm saying? So, in terms of you being creative, if you don't, you can white label stuff. So, like in my e-commerce course, I make a site for you, and I let you have hundreds of products that we have on Pier 1 and Dress Barn. So, it's not technically private labeling, but it's something somewhere. And there's no shame in that. There's people making a lot of money. In fact, look at Jeff Bezos. How did he start out, become one of the richest people in the world, build $1 trillion market cap company? He did it by selling other people's products, you know? So that's a great way. Okay. Someone said he didn't even go to school. Okay. So for those of you new to the show that I'm doing right now, I'm talking about how my e-commerce physical product brands do more than 100 million a year. I had over 150 million US visitors to my brands. I buy big brands. People don't know that about me. People think more like, you know, I'm on social media. That's not my big thing. I'm pretty busy. I've got 400 people who work for me around the world. And so that's kind of what I do. So I'm just answering 42 questions I've gotten recently. My team collected them and just put them in one place, and I was just doing like a little session sharing with you all. So Okay, what's my net worth? I'm gonna tell you this, guys, especially for men. You want your net worth online to say around 5 million bucks. That's a great number. Mine says higher. I'm not even sure what it says online. Maybe 60 million or something. If I could snap my fingers from the day you're 18 years old to the day you die, you want your net worth to say 5 million. Why? If you're a man. Because 5 million, and women maybe too, it's a little bit different psychology often, but you really want to have a high net worth online? You know what kind of shit show that makes your life? You know what kind of box in prison it is when people, how's your dating life going to go? How's your employee life going to go? How's your assistant in your house going to go? People start tripping and falling to get that check. You know, Michael Jackson used to have somebody videotape every time he drove away from the curve because ambulance chasers, lawyers were there. People would pretend like he hit them, and he would get sued every freaking week. So, you know, I'm not sure what does my net worth say online. I've seen different things, but if I could snap my fingers and do SEO, I'd keep it around 5 million bucks. That's a good number. It shows you know what you're doing, but it doesn't make you a target. You want to be a target? Okay, what about fulfilling e-commerce orders? Somebody says it says I filed for bankruptcy. No, I buy bankrupt companies. I've never filed for bankruptcy, but I buy companies through a more complex concept. It's called a 363 sale. By the way, the richest people in the world, there's a lot of them that ain't on the Forbes list, and they keep themselves that way. I know a guy, in fact, there's a European guy I know who's real wealthy. Dude, I bet you he pays $50,000 a month to take everything down about him. He has a PR firm. They sue people. Like, there's not even one picture about him. That guy understands the game. You know. Some of you are going to learn this the hard way. Some of you want to be famous so much, and you want your network to impress your friends, and then you're going to go too far to the other extreme, and then you're going to wish. I guarantee you, most of the rich people in the world that you look up to, they have handcuffs. They can't do anything fun anymore. Okay. How do you drive organic traffic to Instagram? So if you're doing e-com, you want to sell products, how do you use social media? The best way now is a continual, like, taking your persona, who you are, and posting about that. There's a guy, Liver King. Who's seen Liver King online? He basically lives and breathes. I've DM'd him before. He calls himself in the third person, Liver King, you know? When he DMs me, he's like, hi, Liver King says hello, Ty. And he just lives and breathes his supplements. He sells supplements that's like, you know, beef liver if you don't want to eat it. Like, he eats it raw. But every post by him on social media is literally just a reinforcement of his business and his persona. He wants everybody to call him Liver King. Everything's about liver. He has his wife eating liver, and that is how you. I'm sure that I don't know what he's making, but that's probably a $10 to $50 million supplement business is my guess. I have no idea. I've never asked him, but that's how you go from here to there in e-com. And you might say, but Ty, I don't want it to be that extreme. Okay, don't be that extreme. You, like I said, pet business. Take your dog, put your dog on camera. One of my secretaries who used to work for me, she has an Instagram. I don't know how she did. She has like 2 million followers on her dog. And she's not monetizing it, which is fine. You don't have to monetize everything. But boy, you could monetize that. You could monetize that. 2 million people following the story of your dog. You know what I would do is white label some kind of a cutting edge pet food. People will spend more money on their dogs than they will on their own health. So driving organic traffic to Instagram is no longer about making one good ad or one good video, you know? So how do you find a great business partner? Now, this is a complicated story. Look, each of you has to learn how to read people. There is something called the Hexaco score. There's something called dark triad. There's something called dark dyad. There's Big Five is an old school. There's the NPI test, the narcissistic personality inventory. There's something called the Mach 4, which tests for Machiavellianism. There's the Levinson psychopath test. You, believe it or not, you can learn how to read people and eliminate 90% of the problems that you're about to have. I can tell you right now, some of your friends are good. You're going to make your first million or your first 10 million, and one of your friends is going to take it from you. And even scarier is one of your family members, because you don't know how to read people. And when you know how to read people and you understand complex psychology, by the way, this is not just body language. It's not just body language. It's funny how people, I notice, it's very funny in the world how people are. People kind of watch and they like look and they're like, I trust Ty. Or there's other people. There's something about his tone of voice. I can't trust him. Okay, that's how low level the average person is. That's how simpleton. And so what happens is people pick the wrong business partners over and over again. They pick the wrong friends. They hire the wrong employees over and over because they think that reading people as so simple as, oh, okay, well, this person kind of, oh, you know, this body language, they cross their hands or this or that. It's not that simple to read people. In fact, most of the exploitative traits that humans have, narcissism, Machiavellianism, high levels of greed, authority, superiority, there's seven subtypes of narcissism, okay? Some of those are specifically have evolved over the last 700,000 to 1 million years of Homo sapien existence as cleverly disguised. So, for example, I know some of the social media people, and I personally know some of the business people that you all look up to. I'm not going to say names, but some of the ones that people think are the most virtuous are the least. There's a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing. Okay? So a good book to read how to learn people is written by one of the preeminent scientists. It's called The H Factor of Personality, H like hotel. It's by the scientist who came up with this advanced Hexaco score. There's a powerful book that I'm afraid to recommend to you, which is written by Trivers on lying. And it's basically, Trivers is the Harvard, I'm lucky enough to have him as a personal mentor, but he founded the Harvard Evolutionary Biology Department. He's considered the founder of modern biology. And what Trivers, he wrote a whole book on how your brain lies to you. So basically, humanity, look at social media. Most of it's all a lie. It's just like TV and movies. The difference is social media is like a wolf in sheep's clothing, because when you go to a movie and you watch a Marvel movie, you don't really think it's real. But on social media, you see people, these little clips, and you actually think it's real. People actually think it's real. Like, oh, this is a good person. They give away stuff. Or this person says they don't care about money. I was reading about one of the top crypto people in the world, and he says, I don't care about money. I'm going, bro, if you don't care about money, you'd give it all away. Don't ever listen to a billionaire who tells you they don't care about money. You could give away all your money overnight. In fact, I've never met a billionaire that doesn't love money. That's like somebody saying, yo, I'm a pro bodybuilder. My body's perfectly proportional and golden. You know, they call this symmetrical, like this ratio, the golden mean. They're like, oh yeah, if they were like, I don't really care about my body. Bullshit. If you don't care about your body, you will never have one of these physiques that's, little waist, wide shoulders and all that. So when you meet somebody wealthy, but that's what social media is about. It's about virtue signaling. It's about exploitation in general. I always think it's funny that people thought I was the one who was lying. Dude, the life you saw me doing with Lamborghinis and cars, I was doing that back in 2006 when I owned nightclubs in North Carolina. I was doing that for a decade before. But people thought, oh, Ty did an Airbnb commercial. I always got a kick out of the kind of the low IQ of society to think that I was the one faking it. I'm going, dude, I was doing it for a decade before. And I saw the myths created around me, and I was like, shit, do I even have time how do you respond to stupidity? What do you do? It's like NFTs. People are like, when I did NFT, people were like, oh, this NFT is going to be a scam. I'm like, my NFT is being fulfilled. I've got a WhatsApp group. I'm sitting here advising people, helping them. They paid $1,000 to get a WhatsApp group NFT with me. You think they overpaid? People paid me $100 million to learn from me, and I'm going, but the NFTs that people thought were great and virtuous, Just watch. Just wait. Some of you have ain't been around the game long enough. You can't see a wolf. If a wolf puts some sheep clothes and comes on social media and tells you how much they love you and they care for you, you just buy into it because you're so ready to have acceptance from some high status person. It's like, whoa, this person cares about me. You know, I never was on my social media like, I care about every single one of you. Maybe I should have. Maybe I should. I sometimes think, Ty, should I have bullshitted? Should I have gotten into that game where I was like, you know, all of you people that I've never met, like I wake up and obsess about you and everything I'm doing is just for you. But those are the people that do well on social media because the sucker's born every minute and is ready for the love and acceptance of people who in reality, if I ever met a mentor who's like, Ty, you know, my life's all about you, I'd be like, you think I want you as a mentor? I want the mentor who has no time for me. Those are the people doing big things. Anyway, these are more complex. I mean, like I said, virtue signaling is a very powerful thing that will destroy your life. So back to the question, in e-commerce, who's the best business partner? It's the one who doesn't want to be your business partner. Who's the best business partner? It's the one who doesn't tell you how they want to partner with you to make you rich. Be careful of that motherfucker. That's a liar. Let other people have some greed. Alex, my business partner, never came to me and said, Ty, I wake up and live and breathe for you. What he said is, in effect, what we said with each other is, look, we're two warriors. We're going out and conquering things. Do we want to form an alliance? That's what you want. Follow people who are like, I'm out here conquering the world. You want to form an alliance with me? I'll let you in on my life. I'll post on my TikTok. I'll post. Don't follow the people that say, no, I just love you. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but I find it funny. Somebody said, Ty, you are hardly a warrior. Bitch, let me tell you something. Not to get too mean. I bought the most brands in the United States in a year, more than any private equity company in the world. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Be careful. There's kings in the world of e-com. I'm one of them. There's emperors. Those are people above me. But they don't even know what you speak of. This is a Serbian protein bar. I'm working on 2 software companies. I'm gonna see if I build 2 unicorns at the same time. 2 unicorns at the same time. I got about 75 software devs building out 2 big B2B, B2C brands. Talk that shit, Ty. It doesn't really bother me, but you got to put it on a little show every once in a while. Trust me. TikTok, I'm glad YouTube used to be the basement dwellers. That shit all switched to TikTok. By the way, study the psychology of people who leave a lot of comments. It's fascinating. They did this huge study. People who leave negative comments on social media are super high in not only dark triad traits, which are the worst traits possible. If you ever meet somebody high in dark triad traits, get them out of your life. Even if it's your own friends, family. Don't hang out with that cousin. Don't hang out with that brother. But there's something called the dark dyad, which is a whole nother level of basically kind of evil. Dark dyad people are high in sadism. Sadism is when you take pleasure in the pain of others, right? And it's not just physical. So you see people killing themselves. I mean, imagine, I don't even know, where should your kids go to school in the modern world? I'm going, people are going to really kill themselves now. You know, I see people get on social media, they get bullied when you're like I'm an adult. It doesn't affect me. Imagine when you're like 12, you know? It's a pretty insane world. I don't even know where. Homeschool your kids. Homeschool your kids, man. On your dark triad quiz, what would you define as a higher score? Dark triad, like narcissism, out of 100, over 60 is where it gets problematic. Machiavellianism, over 60. 60 is where like the beginning of clinical and mental illness on a lot of these quizzes. Now, something like psychopathy doesn't, even a 40 or a 50 in psychopath is dangerous on like a Levinson score. They use different scales, but you also got to watch high anxiety in a business partner. High anxiety is a son of a bitch. It's probably the most prevalent kind of in the Hexaco scores. If you're looking at a disorder scale, it's probably the most frequent kind of mental, I'm not going to call it a mental illness because anxiety is in its own category, but anxiety is real problematic, especially for in a business partner. Now, my business partner, Alex, he actually has too low of anxiety, which is super rare. Sometimes I'm like, Alex, I need your anxiety to up a little bit, buddy. Can we raise your anxiety? But that's rare. And it doesn't mean you don't want any anxious people around you. It's just, so there's this concept, a couple concepts that you all should know. One's called WTRs, welfare trade-off ratios. This is on the exploitative scale. Some of you have people that every time you do something for them, they do a little less back for you. So like they're not 50-50. And that's subtle exploitation. Most humans are wise enough and cunning enough not to fully exploit you. I guarantee you, you're one of you, if not thousands of you, right now are dating somebody who's exploitative, meaning you give like 50 out of 100 and they give like 49 out of 100. And then you give and they give just a teeny less. That's a super common, and by the way, that's not even only human species. Other species do the same thing. There's a type of bird, a female bird, where I forget which species it is. Trivers talks about it. He wrote a lot of his famous research on this at Harvard. But there's birds, for example, a female, what she'll do is she'll let a male bird build a nest, and she will pretend and allow him some mating access, but then secretly when he's building the nest, she goes off and mates with another bird. I have bald eagles on my farm in Virginia. It was crazy. And we had a bald eagle and a female, and he actually left her. I have a Audubon Society. I put some on my farm in conservation. So the Audubon Society came out and told me one of the male eagle, he left the older female eagle for a younger one. Okay, now to that older female, she was suddenly left alone. That was kind of an exploitative comment in nature. We're not even talking about humans anymore. So in general life, you're going to find yourself surrounded by people who either give a little bit more than you or give a little bit less than you. And it's really hard to get in perfect 50-50 type. This is a complex kind of game theory, psychological game theory. Like I said, there's great books on this by Dr. David Buss. You can read his evolutionary psychology book. You can read Trivers. Trivers is on a whole nother, he's one of the most cited psychologists of all time, or biologists. And so in a business partner, in an employee, you really have to be careful. Yeah, no, I got to cut my nails. My nails grow so freaking fast. It's funny. So be very kind of careful with people. And I'll tell you, the only way that you really are going to make it is to watch people over time. It takes a while. So my number one piece of advice to you is do not take on a business partner that you've only done business with for like a week, a month, or even a year. It's not enough time. I knew my business partner, Dr. Alex Mayer, for 7 years. 7 years before he became a business partner. I don't know that you need to do 7 years all the time, but you certainly need to put in that time to get to know somebody. It's kind of like you wouldn't marry somebody overnight. If you do, you have a super high chance of divorce. People that have known whoever they marry for like shotgun weddings or overnight, like weekend drunk weddings in Vegas, they have like 90% divorce rate. I see people going into business with somebody they met at a conference or something. It's insane. Okay. For those of you joining, I'm talking about my brands, Pier 1, Steinmart, Dress Barn, how I do over $100 million in physical product, e-comm. I wonder if I have my Shopify. I'm streaming. I would show you some stats from today. I'll post it on my Instagram. Oh, shit. It's 3 in the morning. It's 3 in the morning. Damn it. I'm in Austria here. Okay. Advice for what is your largest regrets in business? Should have built more software. Software will rule the world. You really want to get rich, build software. I built software, but I didn't commercialize it. But I'm fixing that. I'm fixing that now. Is branding important in the beginning? Yes, kind of. What would you say is the greatest underrated skill in life? Staying cool under pressure? Probably. Well, that's one of the great skills in life. Somebody said I didn't build anything. I used to do these ones where I would read my haters' comments. They were pretty funny. This guy just makes up things as he goes. Good seeing you last week. What type of software? I've got a competitor to Slack, if you know what Slack is. I've got kind of enterprise WhatsApp, so you can run your whole business from your phone. Do I read a book a day? Yes. In general, I do. There's sometimes when I'm traveling, I don't. Although when I'm on an airplane, I read more than when I'm at home. Ty, please read hater comments. Okay, let's look. Ty, this dude isn't a scammer. I've been watching for 10 years. Do you still have your New York City apartment? No, I moved to Puerto Rico. I moved out of the U.S. Ty, it's your Google rep. I need to do more with you. What's up? Oh, man. Wait, all the haters stopped for a second. Is Speakeasy still mine? Yes, that's an app I built. It's coming out of beta. Proof of your $100 million a year. You can just go and look at, compare like SimilarWeb and look at the traffic on my sites. You can calculate it that way. People want, bro, if you don't think Pier 1 and my brands do 100 million, it's great. It was doing 1.7 billion with the physical stores when I bought it. So it's not even that impressive to do 100 million. But we had to shut down all the stores because of COVID. But I'm opening the first Pier 1 store back up. I own Linens and Things. I own Franklin Mint. How did you get started? Ty, the ecom goat. Do you think it's better to rent or own? Sometimes I rent. Look, here's the deal. This is what people got confused of in Beverly Hills. The reason that I didn't rent, I leased. I leased that place in Beverly Hills for $92,000 a month for 5 years. Or 4 years. Was it 5? 4. Some people are like, oh, Ty. I'm like, that is because Beverly Hills wasn't a great place to invest. It's not a great place to invest in those homes. That was like a $50 million house. So buy when you can buy low, lease when you want to live somewhere that's expensive, and it's not, the math isn't there to buy. I try to buy low. I bought Pier 1 for $31 million. It's you can Google it. It's a public record in the U.S. court system. It was bought through a 363 sale. The guy that wanted, proof. So, yeah, okay, let's see. Box Gary V. Does Gary V box? People were like, Grant Cardone's like, Ty, you want a box? I'm like, fuck yeah. I said, but Grant, you got to put like $5 million. We'll put $5 million in escrow, then I'll box. I don't think many social media people train, do they? I've been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and stuff for a long time, man. It's like 15 years. I was doing judo. I started when I was 12. Boxing, I've been doing, not as long. I'm not a pro by any means. But I've seen some of the other people. I'll gladly box, but I want money for it. I ain't fucking boxing for free. Box Jake Paul. Jake Paul's a strong. I've known Jake and Logan for a long time. Those grass-fed, corn-fed boys, Midwest boys, leave them alone. Those guys are strong. That's what everyone's finding out. It's funny. People are like Logan Paul, Jake Paul. They're like, oh, they're going to get their ass beat. I'm like, I know those dudes. Those guys, they have that corn-fed big back. Be careful. Like I said, I've been doing jiu-jitsu for a long time. You'd be surprised at the guys you think you can beat up. I once rolled, that's what they call sparring, with a chiropractor. This dude had the strongest grip in terms of when he locked you up. So you can't always look at some. It's funny, people look at people like, I can take that guy. I can take that. I took Floyd Mayweather to a Laker game. I forget when it was, but he doesn't look that big. But if you met him out in the street, He's got fast hands. You ever seen him jab? All guys now are you. It's funny. Every dude now knows MMA because MMA possible is all over TV. I'm like, really? You think you know what you're doing? Go spar then. You tough? Go spar, man. Go spar then if you're so tough. Okay. Are you a stock guy? No, I don't like the stock market. Look, I told everybody. Back in December, when you see all the CEOs of company retiring and selling their stock, it's that they know it's not insider trading if they retire so they can sell their stock. When all the damn CEOs sell, get out. Crypto. Address the memes. Which one? Someone said, I feel. Bro, did you lose your legs? No, I'm sitting down. Does it look like I'm in a wheelchair? Oh, I love it. I love it. You do 100 million in 1 year from ecom, a lot more than that. Are you still looking for TikTok? Ty has legs confirmed. I love TikTok. What made you want to buy Modell's? Modell's was a 1889 brand out of New York City selling sporting goods. It was doing $500 million. When I bought it for $3 million. I couldn't resist, man. I couldn't resist. What's the legacy I want to leave behind? I mean, on my tombstone, maybe it'll say something like, here was a misunderstood mad scientist, but he mattered. That's what I hope it would say, you know. Show today's Shopify sales. All right, I can show on my phone. Let me take since you're on, I'm gonna screenshot it and then because this is my damn phone. Let's see, Shopify sales. I've been showing it. I'll show it here to YouTube, then I'll come back and show it to you all. Let me take a picture with it. I'm gonna take a picture because this phone that I'm on TikTok, oh, damn it, lost connection. All right, hold on. All right, I'll do it in a second. I love it. Okay, how do you get a $500 million store for $3 million? Google it. Google Modell's. You can see it's all through the U.S. court system. Okay. Ty, what can you say in a few words? You're addicted to gambling. Hey, if you have an addiction, a lot of people have addiction nowadays. Porn, probably, I mean, dude, what percentage of dudes are addicted to porn? Women too. Shit, video games. I know a guy I used to respect in business. I found out he spends 5 hours a day as a 30-year-old man playing video games. I'm going, what? Come on, man. Get out, ride horses. Like, I've got a farm. Go grow your own food. Have some cattle. Buy land. If you're making money, buy some farmland. The world might not have food one day soon. Everybody's interested in going to space and getting getting an electric car. Get a horse. Go old school. Go opposite the world. I go on private jets and I have a horse. I never want to be that guy. Like, I'm kind of a hard to read person. That's why I'm controversial. It's funny. People can't quite figure me out, And that's good. That's good. Is it true you were dating Trump's daughter? Where did these come from? I'll tell you this. I once went on a date with a girl in Europe off Tinder. And when I got there, on the first date, she said, yo, Ty. She didn't say yo, but she said, what's your net worth? And I remember thinking, oh, Lord, what kind of horrible date is this? And, oh, you all want to see my Shopify sales? Let me go over my laptop because people think I'm hiding it. Let me bust up some motherfuckers. Let me go here to my laptop. Should I smack around some people that think I'm lying? Okay, let's go here. I like to keep it. You know how you keep people on your social media story? You're live. You just Say you're going to show something, then don't show it for a while, and they're like, he's fucking faking. I knew it. All right, let's go to Shopify somewhere. Let's look. Let's look here. Doody-da. Okay, here's one brand. Not going to show which of the brands it is, but you will see it's today. I'll cover the corner. Now, y'all, hater motherfuckers. Oh, shit, can you not see this? $120,000 today. And I can scroll. That's not a screenshot, see? I can click into it. Oops, wrong button. I'm going backwards. There, it clicked in. See? There's $120,000 today. And that's on West Coast time. So the day's not over. Here you can see it. Gross sales, $143,000. Gross sales, $143,000. Discounts, shit, hard to read upside down. $23,000. Returns, $6,000. Net, $113,000. Taxes, $7,500. You got to charge taxes to people. There you go. There you go. I can keep going more. Not impressed, young man. Good. Well, somebody asked me, so I wanted to tell people. I want to tell people. People don't, I can do this. Somebody said, Ty, is your hair greasy? No, it's coconut oil. It's good for your hair, man. There. How many orders? Let's see how many orders we had. You all could figure out the order basket size too, if you want to see orders. So today, 970 orders on this brand. Can you all see this? 970. Total items, 1,700. So that means the average person has about 2 items. Returned items, 36%. Fulfilled orders already, 375. Delivered, 241. Time to fulfill, 10 minutes. That's some digital products, but that's mostly all physical because we have a competitor to like Amazon Prime. So that's a digital product. You really thought I would lie about that? The art of war. Oh, finish the date story. So I go on a date with this woman, and she's like, what's your net worth? And I say, oh, shoot, did I forget about my Twitter? Sorry, Twitter. I forgot about my Twitter Spaces. Is it still going? Yes, okay. I closed it. So someone said, Ty, thanks for the fake ecom page. That's all right, buddy. It's all fake. She goes to me, what's your net worth? I'm like, oh, man, I got to tell her what my net worth is. And I was just like, brushed it off. And I was like, finally, I was like, why would you ask that? This is like 5 minutes into a date. And she goes, well, I want you to know I'm the richest woman in the world. Like at 21, she was whatever, early 20s. And I looked it up, and she was an heiress to her and her sister were the richest. Now they got surpassed by Kylie Jenner. She was cool. We just, yeah. Anyway, I thought that was funny. I thought that was funny because somebody asked me if I ever dated Donald Trump's daughter. No. What, Ivanka? Somebody said, yeah. What's in my bank account? Can you buy a company? Now, this is a smart person. How can you buy companies? If you go to retailecommerceventures.com, you can see the brands that I own. 666 on Instagram right now. Ooh. And so buying companies is something you all should learn. I wish I had learned that younger. I bought my first company. I bought a nightclub in Raleigh, North Carolina years ago, a business we used to do. They're still there, George's Garage, Parazod, Spice Street, Red Room in Raleigh, North Carolina. That was the beginning. I should have done that more. Buying companies is a really powerful way to build businesses. Elon Musk didn't start PayPal. He did an M&A transaction, merged into it. He didn't start Tesla. He bought Tesla. Ray A. Kroc didn't start McDonald's, but he profited from it and built it. He bought it from the McDonald's brothers. Mark Zuckerberg didn't build Instagram. He bought it. He didn't build WhatsApp. It's an underplayed thing. That's what I was saying. A lot of you, one of the problems is people spending so much time on social media, so much time watching porn and all this shit. I'm like, bro, you could be learning how to buy businesses at a young age. You can do it with seller financing now. I'm doing all these real estate deals in Texas now. We seller finance the thing and then we flip it. 100% ROI sometimes in sub 9 months. So, does being rich make you happy? What a question. Probably not. But having financial independence does. Having financial independence does. So there's levels to wealth. Are you talking about being a billionaire? Are you talking about having 100 million net worth? Are you talking about having 10 million? You know what I'm saying? I think that's why I told you all, you want your net worth, 5 million bucks is a good number, ladies and gentlemen. It's a good number. You're not wealthy, but you're way above average and you're set for life. You know, that's one thing Tim Ferriss, some of his stuff I don't agree with, 4-hour work week, some of that I thought, but from the standpoint of what he does in like living life, like he went and traveled the world, lived all over the world, did whatever he want, learned how to paint, learned different language, like all that stuff has meaning too. Learn how to be an artist, learn a musical instrument. So to the extent that you do those other things, make time for those other things, then yes, having money makes you happy. Being poor makes you unhappy. That's for sure. It's a lot of it. You have to reverse engineer it, you know. So it's not, the question is not, does being wealthy make you happy? Because probably not. But being poor almost always makes you unhappy, for sure. Not only does it make you unhappy, but it makes your children and grandchildren more likely to be sick and die. And that's enough to make you unhappy. Nobody wants to have children that suffer. And so poverty is a disaster from that standpoint. So what you want to do, you don't always have to go after directly what you want. You can also reverse engineer it, and you can ask yourself, what's the inverse of invert? Invert the thing that you don't want. What do I not want? I don't want the stress of always living paycheck to paycheck. Somebody says 75 grand a month makes me happy. That's for sure. Good. 75, you might not need to make more. I always hear people talk about how much they want to make, but what about what's the cap on what you need to make? You should have a cap. I've gone for unfiltered, wealth, and I think it's a mistake. If I could start all over, I would just pick the number that I want to be at and stop there. Like I said, buy a farm, man, grow your own food, have your own horses. I got 100 cows, I've got 30 horses, I've got sheep, pigs, I've got 1,300 acres, got crops. I also have, houses, cars. But what makes me happy? Traveling. I'm in Vienna right now. I was just in Serbia. I was in Stockholm and Copenhagen for a month with different friends. I was going, celebration of Midsummer. If you ever seen the movie Midsummer, it's not true. Swedish people don't kill people. I like it, like work out. You should have time to be active 3 hours a day, whether that's in the gym, sport, walking, like swimming. These are all the things. So how have you made your wealth? My first business was in grass-fed beef with Joel Salatin, my business partner. He's a pretty famous farmer now at age 19. Then I started at GE Capital. Then I built a wealth management company that's still there called LOG Financial. It's in Raleigh, North Carolina. Simultaneously, I owned a nightclub business there. From there, I started doing a lot, and I was doing e-commerce to build all of those. I built 6,000 wealth management customers, lead gen. Before anybody was doing lead gen, I was doing that. And so from there, I started doing consulting. And then it segued into e-commerce. I did online education, physical products. I've done real estate. Bought my first real estate investment property in 2006. In fact, I just posted some videos about 2 months ago. It was funny looking at the properties I bought. They're way up. I should never have flipped them, but it was good money for me. I still have rental properties. Now I invest more in land. So, that the game is people's heads not screwed out. Focus. like horse. You put blinders on a horse so they don't get distracted. You need to focus, focus, focus. Balance. How do you stay with health, wealth, love, and happiness? How do you keep all four? When should you have kids? What country should you live in? These are tough questions that you should have. These are the important questions that you should be obsessed with. You know, I do crypto. I bought my first crypto in 2017, live streaming. I'm here in Vienna, and a guy invited me to like the top club. It's called Volksgarten. It's this big, huge club. Insane line. Anyway, he got in my Bitcoin course in 2017 and started buying crypto. And now he's wealthy here, Austrian guy. It was pretty interesting. I bought Bitcoin was at 4,500 and ETH at 197. So, you know, getting in early is an important way to create wealth. I started doing YouTube ads and Facebook ads before anybody was doing it. I mean, there was so few people. And that is something that will build wealth. You all have to look, what's the next big trend that you can catch early? It's not TikTok anymore. It's not TikTok ain't new. I'm not saying you shouldn't be on TikTok, but that's not in and of itself. Anything that already has a billion people on it is not a new trend. You have to ask yourself, like, what is the next thing? Is it, some people think it's virtual reality. I don't think that's the next big thing. I think it is valid, but I don't think that's the next big thing. Too many people are talking about it. It needs to be things that you hardly hear about. And that's hard because people don't have faith in themselves. And so therefore they don't want to talk. They don't want to do things that other people aren't talking about. I notice that people just, there's this, and that's part of the human brain. It's the risk aversion part of the human brain. People don't want to do they don't want to be the first to the game. It's scary to be first to the game, but you need to be first to the game. You know what I'm saying? Somebody, a woman I know here in Austria said, busy man, because it's 3:30. I don't even know. I'm up early. Someone said, give me $1,000. What's you and Tony Robbins' relationship? Nothing. But I read his book when I was a teenager. It helped me out. I know Tony Robbins is a controversial person. I never get in those controversies. Man, people are like, what do you think of Gary Vee? What do you think of Grant Cardone? What do you think of, blah, blah, blah. I'm going, it doesn't concern me. I don't really give a shit. Great. I hope Gary Vee becomes the greatest human on earth, and Grant Cardone and Tony Robbins and whoever you look up to, whoever's your guru. I hope that I wish everybody the best. I got enough to focus on myself. I got my own tribe. I go to war with my own people, and those people I care about. In fact, part of the reason I'm not on social media as much is because I have 60 leaders that I'm developing to become brand presidents and CEOs so I can buy more stuff. That's my thing, Marijuana is the next big thing. I don't think so. Marijuana ain't new. It's valid, but it ain't a new thing. You know how you know you're doing something new? So when people call it a scam. I remember Elon Musk, front page of Wall Street Journal. It was either 2009 or 2010. The man who scammed for a fake car company $3 billion. He raised $3 billion for Tesla back then in bonds, debentures. And Wall Street Journal called him a scam. That's how you know you're in early. That's how you know you're in early. That's the game. That's the game. When crypto first came out, even now it's a scam to most people. Not to me. That's how you know it's early. It's still early for crypto. People are calling it a scam. But if you watch the undercurrent behind the scenes, the big Goldman Sachs companies are coming in and buying. So it's not like, but it's harder to make money now than it was then. So someone said Dan Pena really likes me. I don't even know, dude. I'm so out of that circle, man. I'm so out of the circle. I should be more. I don't do those collabs and all that. I'm kind of like a mad scientist, man. I like to be alone. I'm thinking of stuff. I'm trying to innovate. I've got a couple software companies I'm building that are going to compete with some of the most valuable companies in the world. I've been focused on that for 2 years, building in silence, man. Like I said, I was in Serbia. It's the first time I even posted. I got 60, 70 devs working full-time building me code. I bought a company I got 2 CTOs just building stuff. Software is where most of the money in the world is made. And so it's just not good viral content when I do fucking software. yo, look at this line of code that this guy wrote. Let me post a TikTok viral video. That's not what's going to be hot. You know, what's going to be hot is little stuff that everybody can do. But that's okay. I mean, it's all levels, man. Each of you's on your own journey. You're on your own path. You know what I'm saying? My path is somewhat irrelevant to you, and your path somewhat irrelevant to me. In fact, there's some people believe in this kind of parallel universe that there's infinity or close to infinity, different versions of this same universe going on. There's maybe a potentiality that I'm the only real person on earth and you all are holograms or, you know, the similar. And I am the same for you. So it really comes down to, not to sound too narcissistic, because I don't think it's healthy to think you're the only person in the universe. That's why I like to think of my tribe. You know, so I like to think that it's not just me, but it's my tribe, it's my family, it's my close friends. It's the people that I think would take a bullet for me. It's just us in this world. And everything else is relevant and irrelevant at the same time. You know, you're a hologram. Very well are. I mean, people ask, Ty, do you think the metaverse is going to be big in e-com? This is the metaverse. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? The Telegram was e-commerce. Sorry, not e-commerce. The Telegram was the beginning of the metaverse. Metaverse is just all experiences that are projected out further. The first Indian doing the smoke signal to project a message across the Great American Plains, across 50 miles. That was the beginning of the metaverse. Alexander Graham Bell and the telephone. That was the beginning. The first movie. That was the beginning of the metaverse. So, you know, people ask me, is e-com going to be a big part? I think what people think the metaverse is going to be is probably not what the metaverse is going to be. Porn is the metaverse. Dudes think hot girls want to sleep with them because they're watching hot girls sleep with them. But it's not real, and it ain't the same. Instead of dudes hitting the gym and eating right, you know, you can just have your fix. I don't know that it's good for society. I'm not sure. Yeah, cave paintings. The cave paintings in France, that's the beginning of the metaverse. Books are the beginning of the metaverse. So for each of you, stay tighter to your own tribe. Watch from a distance other people's journey. Gather what you can. Gather what you can. Most of it is be careful for wolves in sheep's clothing. And be careful of ignoring the actual sheep who come off in wolves' clothing. There are people out there that I know that people think are a scam who are the real deal. I mean, I'll give you an example. If you look in history, for example, who are the people historically people think is a scam? Just think about it for a second. What are some of the names that people think are scams, but really weren't? You know one? I was in Serbia, Nikola Tesla. He was hated in his own time. He was forgotten in his own time. It wasn't until over 100 years that people realized that this person was the real deal, that other people had stolen his ideas. You know, look at great religious people. Some of you are Christians. Jesus Christ was crucified in his time. You know, prophets were usually killed. Mahatma Gandhi, he empowered and freed a whole country, and he was shot. And Indira Gandhi and JFK and Martin Luther King, and I was watching a clip of Malcolm X. No man was thought more of a scam than Malcolm X. He was shot with a shotgun, I think. Malcolm X's father, he watched his father. I don't know if he watched, but his father's head was put on a railroad track by white people, and his father's head was, destroyed, killed, splattered. And so, but he was a hated man. All these people that are important I mean, say what you want about presidents, but all the presidents you think are haters, are scammers, they end up being beloved later. Everybody likes George W. Bush now. Even the right and the left like him. But boy, back when he went to war against Iraq, everybody hated him. And you see that with Donald Trump, and you'll see it with Biden, and you see it with Obama. People said Obama, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's just, no prophet is without honor except in his own home. No prophet is remembered except after their death. So for each of you, you know, you will have to go down that journey. And not everybody has to go down the hero's journey of a Malcolm X, you know, where you end up in martyrdom and shot. But some will, and some of it will be your reputation. Just carry on. That's why I have a farm. You'll know. You know deep down what you do and what you don't do. You know your own story. You know, that's the story. Be thick-skinned. Somebody asked me, in e-commerce, what's the greatest skill you can possess? I told you, be calm under pressure. Look at the Kardashians. That whole family's laughing to the bank. No family in modern times become wealthier. Women, by the way, for those of you who think there's a lot of sexism in the world, well, and there has been. Look at this. Women billionaires. Name a time. I mean, you had Elizabeth, the Virgin Queen in the 1500s in England, who was a billionaire. You had Catherine the Great in Russia. She was, you know, a billionaire, but you don't see many women billionaires. And you see the Kardashians, and everybody thought they were a fraud. And they're controversial, and I don't love the Kardashians in the sense that it's not my kind of content. I'm not fascinated by keeping up with the Kardashians, but they know how to fascinate a whole subsection of this planet. So I hope each of you, you know, find a journey. You have a hero's journey to go on. That journey will be enough to keep you busy for life, man, you know. Find a few mentors along the way. Not the mentors who say they love you and they live only for you. They don't. No good mentor. A good mentor is on his own journey. And he or she will let you peek in once in a while. But what kind of mentor lives for you? The only people should live for you is your own family. And you need mentors that aren't family, because family doesn't always tell you the truth. They don't always push you like a drill sergeant. You need people who are stepped out and stepped back. You know what I mean? So, hero's journey. Thoughts on the future of NFTs. NFTs have gone through what's called the Cambrian explosion. There was a time in evolution where there was 100 million species, none of which are still here. Maybe crocodiles. Jellyfish are 600 million years old. But most things will cease to exist. In 1900 to 1930, there was 200 car companies, or was it 2,000? There were 200 or 2,000. None of them are known anymore. Only a few made it. Ford made it through. Airlines, when the first airline came out, there was infinite airline brands, and most of them die. It's okay. In the year 2000, in the first tech bubble, there was all these brands. There was, you know, pets.com, and there was these grocery store companies, and most of them come and go, you know. Someone says, young man pulls baddies. I've dated a few beautiful women in my life. By the way, I built a quiz. I never really advertised it. But that quiz was pretty cool because it was the 4 M's of motivation. I built this framework to understand what motivates. And it's a very controversial one. If you know me, you know I'm going to build something controversial. And basically, what I found is that people won't admit what really motivates them. And there's 4 things that motivate people, the 4 M's. The first M is mating, money or material things, mastery and status, and movement or freedom. Those are the 4 prime drivers, and everybody has a different level of each of those 4. You have to know your 4. Hugh Hefner was probably driven by mating as his number 1. You know, number 2 was probably mastery, status. He was a high status individual. He wasn't the wealthiest. I mean, I think at his peak, Hugh Hefner was worth maybe $300 million when he was like 90. But he was wealthy in other things that people wanted. And so you have to know your 4 M's. And my number 1 M is not money. It's never been money. My number 1 is movement and freedom. And so to the extent that money gives me freedom, I'm excited, you know? So, e-commerce. What's some e-com questions? And then I gotta go. It's 3:30 in the morning. Why do people say you're a scammer? Because I don't virtue signal. It's that simple. You got to virtue signal to be perceived as. You got to say, fucking, Every billionaire now has to say, oh, I'm just making money so I can give it all away. What the fuck are you talking about? But you know what I do? I just take money from a whole bunch of people so I can give it back to them. What are you talking about? You going to become a billionaire? I do not hate on wealth, but I also don't underplay. Wealth is created by blood, sweat, and violence. Always. Always. Don't you think that Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Bernard Arnault, every wealthy person didn't have an element of blood, sweat, and violence? But so people are so stupid that all they have to do now is just go on and say, oh, I just make money, for the benefit of humanity. I know behind the scenes story on a lot of those people. So, people thought I was a scammer for two reasons. One, because I showed a lifestyle that people couldn't fathom actually happened. Like, they couldn't fathom that I actually had Ferraris and stuff. I had those since 2006, man. I had those 10 years. In fact, I was on the TV show Millionaire Matchmaker, like 8 or 10 years before I did my Hair in My Garage video. Like, it's still there. It was one of the best episodes, the most watched episodes. I was already doing the wealthy thing for real, before. I was already living in the Hollywood Hills 8-10 years before Here in My Garage. So I'm not a good virtue signaler. I get bored with a lot of things in society. If you haven't noticed, I kind of get bored. So sometimes I'm like, fuck, do I want to go down the rat race of trying to compare and who's better and who... When I wanted to grow my social media, I grew faster than anybody in the world. And then I stopped at like 3 million Instagram followers because I didn't see an end game to being bigger. More trouble, man. Fuck that. I remember first time I was in Beverly Hills, first maid service I hired, a maid came in and tried to sue me. She said she slipped on a banana peel. She sued the insurance company. Literally, she worked one day and she said she slipped on a banana peel. And I saw the end game of being too wealthy to... what do you think Elon Musk's life really like? What do y'all think's going on behind the scenes with Elon Musk? What do you think's going on behind the scenes with real wealthy people that you all look up to? You think it's all great? You don't think it's people trying to sue them all the time, making up bullshit, pretending this and that for their money? Like, stop. There's a whole nother conversation I can have with you about pulling back the curtain of what wealth is really like. What you all want to be, in my opinion. If I could be 18 years old again, what I would do, I'd build a software company. I build 3 streams of income. So I do software / e-com as one. I call this the 60-30-10 rule. 60% focus in one day on one thing, 30% in another, 10%. That gives you 100%. So I would focus on, for me, I do e-com software 60% of my day. 30% I would focus on either crypto and 10% on real estate, or I do 30% real estate, depending on the time, the economy. So those are 3 powerful skills you can learn. E-com / software. And e-com is very closely tied into understanding how to build software. And then real estate, just because half of the 250 trillion net worth of this planet is in real estate. I bought my first real estate in 2006. I had a mentor. I still have some of it. So yeah, gotta go in a second. How much shit, stuff's coming fast. Ty, when you gonna retire? Never, man. I retired kind of from social media. I'm just too busy now. I was like doing so much social media. Social media will consume you if you really want to post your day and all that stuff. Now I'm doing a lot of stuff, complicated stuff. I was doing this before. Social media, when I was big on social media, was a lull in time when I wasn't doing other stuff. I'd kind of retired, sold businesses, made a lot of money in other stuff. But now I went back into the game even deeper than before. Are you still worth 60 million? I think that's what it says. I don't know where they come up with that. I'm glad. I'm trying to get my net worth to show it's 5 million. My right arm is bigger than the left. Is that true? Makes sense. I don't think it is. Right arm bigger than the left. Dudes notice too much stuff. Y'all should be listening to my words. You can notice another man's arms? Worry, fuck. when I was following my mentors, I never was like, let me look at this motherfucker's biceps. Let me look at this guy's hair. Advice for a 23-year-old. Well, you ain't that young because you don't know how long you're going to live. Some of you got a year left on this planet. My grandma lived 102. At 99, she was younger than some of you are right now. So I'd say number one, you don't know how. Don't think of I'm 23 or I'm 19 and or I'm 88. You don't know how long you have left on this earth. Time should be measured not from birth forward, but from death backwards. But the problem is you don't know when death comes. Therefore, you don't really know your age, which brings me to point number two. You have to move with a certain sense of urgency in this world. And great people have that certain sense of urgency kind of internal. And most people don't have that, and that's a great skill to be able to move with urgency early in life, And then the third thing I would say if I was 23 years old, again, even though I think that's a kind of an irregular fact, is that be careful who you listen to. Almost nobody knows anything. And maybe you think that's ironic because I'm saying that, and you're like, well, doesn't that apply to you? Great, sure. Maybe it applies to me too. But almost nobody knows what they're talking about. And so for that reason, be careful who you listen to. In fact, my best mentor, Alan Nation, told me, Ty, the secret to life is for every 1,000 people you meet, completely ignore 999 of their advice. But when you find that one person who knows what they're talking, double down on what they say. Really build your life around the few people that know what they're saying. And it's not always the loudest person that knows what they're saying, So, all right. Yeah. Am I going on Clubhouse? Is Clubhouse still a thing? Who's still on Clubhouse? Seems like I got a lot of people on TikTok. You watch my garage videos. I got to get back. I'll spend a little time with the TikTok crowd. I haven't had time for TikTok. I haven't had time. Make the Chinese more money. Chinese are smart as hell, boy. TikTok, Cheyenne, like it looks like Shine, the website, that e-commerce store. Dude, the Chinese know how to mimic stuff. Like Pablo Picasso said, great artists copy, good artists copy, great artists steal. Those Chinese, boy, they know how to take stuff in a good way, or good for them, maybe not good for others, but America better get with the program. The damn Chinese are going to take over the world. So, anyway, good luck out there. Remember, you're on your own journey. Don't get too fixated with what's going on in the world. Watch and listen and read about 1/10 of the news. Be careful with Twitter. Twitter will push loud things to the top that aren't really important to you. Remember, there's only one thing you should fear in life. It's not the minor things that many of you are fear. You should fear living a shitty life. You should fear one thing, that's living a crappy life. That when you look back and you'll go, what? They say youth is wasted on the young, and it is, oftentimes. But so is old age is wasted on the old. Life's a blip, my friend. It's a blip. And the good news, though, is that you can stretch it out much longer than people think. And life is short and long at the same time. People think life's only short, but it's also long. It's long in the sense that you have time to build competency. It'll take you 10,000 hours of skill to build real competency that you build confidence in. My best advice is start early. The luckiest person is the person listening to advice like this who's like 7 years old. A guy, Ryan's Toys, he built a YouTube channel. Well, his father did, but he was involved from 7 years old. I think he made $30 million last year. Now, obviously, that's in great part the father, but parents can be a blessing. I didn't have that. My dad was in prison. Many of the things I had to learn the hard way. I hope some of you will find, virtual fathers and virtual mothers, and you'll find surrogate fathers and surrogate mothers that teach you all the things that no one ever taught you, And that's a great gift. And that's one of the great gifts in life, is if you can find a few people who will point you to what they learned over 10 or 20 years. And to the extent that you do that, your life will transform. I know some of you are having tough times right now, and I've been through those tough times. I will tell you this, and here's my advice to you. Out of the ashes you can rise, and you can rise in such a way that you will astonish not only yourself, but your friends. But that astonishment comes from one thing, remembering that when you fail, you ponder, and all greatness comes out of pondering. Those of you who have succeeded and been doing very well in crypto and this and that, and the money came too early, you didn't learn the lessons, you didn't build the foundation that you needed. So I hope each of you will actually take the time and be willing to let yourself be in the fire for a while. The fire ain't done nothing bad to people except burn off the impurities in your character, in your mindset, in your skill set. So if life's tough right now, it'll be all right. It'll be all right. Don't sweat the small stuff, and almost everything's the small stuff. Ask yourself, will this matter in 20 years? If the answer is yes, then I recommend you pay attention to it. But if the answer is it won't even matter in 20 minutes, train the brain to let it go, man. Let it go. Let it go. Push it out. Push it away off to the side. Be careful with your addictions. Don't get too addicted to weed, alcohol, porn. Not that you can't do some of those things, but don't go too deep down the dark side, because the chains of habit are too weak to be felt until they're too strong to be broken. You know what I'm saying? Hold on one second. Sorry, somebody was at my door. So, why do successful people not get married? I don't know that that's true. A lot of successful people. Elon Musk had like 5 kids before he was 30. Anyway, any last question I can answer? It's 4 in the morning here. I read too much. I wish. My thoughts on Plato. Plato was a great thinker. Read Sigmund Freud, though. Plato was a very, complex thinker. I like some of the Greek and Roman philosophers, but like I said, I like Freud. Nietzsche was a great thinker. The mind's an impenetrable fortress. You only learn about it you only learn about yourself through friends and enemies. Okay. How do I manage everything? Discipline, man. I divide up my day. I use a timer on my phone, and I set it to like 18 minutes. So I'll do like 18 minutes of work, then I'll do it's called Pomodoro method. It's a very great way to manage a lot of stuff. Pomodoro. How to cold call better. If you're in sales, I got good news for you. 70% of billionaires started in sales. Phone sales, door-to-door sales. The cool thing that sales teach you is don't worry about don't sweat the small stuff. People don't want your stuff. Most people are too sensitive to handle that. Most people can't do door-to-door sales because they're so looking for validation of the masses that they can't get a door closed on them. They take it personally. That's why somebody asked me, the greatest skill, some people say to not give a fuck. That's wrong thinking and illogical and goes against human DNA. You will not be able to make yourself impervious, okay, to the thoughts and influences of other people. That's why you have to control your environment. But the better way, the way I think about it, which is a little bit different, is that I have to take negative feedback. I like that. I have to take negative feedback and repurpose it. So, for example, what Michael Jordan would do, or Kobe Bryant would do, or LeBron James, he's not impervious to the hate, but he reads it and uses it to play harder the next game. Michael Jordan got such a level of mastery of the game of basketball that at one point he would get bored playing basketball, so he would hope somebody on the other team would talk shit so he could take it in, take the energy, and basically spit it back out as more powerful energy. So if you do cold calling, when people reject you, you have to reframe it. So for example, the best guy I've ever known I know different pickup artists, and I knew this guy used to be the doorman at my nightclub. Probably the most women fell for that guy more than any human I've ever seen. All the pickup artists, anybody you see online was nothing next to this guy. I had a doorman. When I bought a nightclub in North Carolina, the guy I bought it from said, whatever you do, don't fire this doorman named Drago. I said, why? He said, because 200 hot women a weekend come to your club, which you now own, Ty, because Drago's the door guy. He used to wear a tuxedo, be at the door. He wasn't a big bouncer guy, but anyway, I remember I became friends with them, and he told me, he said, Ty, I asked him, how often because women used to like turn around when he walked by. There's very few men you will know in your life that make women's heads turn. Women don't turn around that often. Men turn around at anything that moves, okay? Anything with boobs or something, but like women don't turn around that much. But this guy, they used to, and he would go out, he was a machine. He loved to just go out and talk to, he didn't even like, he was at a whole nother level. He was like a red belt in jiu-jitsu, in pickup. But I once asked him, what's your rejection rate? And he said 50%. And I was thinking, damn, even he gets rejected a lot. And I asked him, how do you cope with the rejection? He said, you know, Tom, I'm just looking for which women have good taste in men. So he had literally repurposed any woman who turned him down. He had done a mind trick on himself to be like, this